Welcome back, everyone, to Therapy Sessions Podcast, episode 14. Coming back at you after a great win against the Cleveland Browns, the lowly Cleveland Browns. Utter destruction, 31-3. And Chris and I were both at the game together. We had an absolute blast. We turned it into a whole event. Hopefully, you guys tuned in. We did a live tailgate where we froze our butts off. We did survive. We are here in front of you in the comfort of our own homes. And we just had a blast. So I want to give a shout out to Richard Langan, Irish Richard, for joining us and being a trooper. I had a great time with him. And then Carl Porter, Crazy Carl, fan of the pod. He's been referenced on the pod before. He also joined us at the game, had a great time. And man, did we layer up, soldiered through it. And then once we got into the stadium, actually wasn't all that bad. But Chris, what do you got for me?
Carl and Richard, thank you for coming and freezing with us. Nick, you're telling me this guy Carl looks like Tom Brady? A little bit.
Yeah, well, he's a Tom Brady doppelganger, certified. There's a whole club for it. The coldest I was I think at the tailgate, and I want to say like pretty pretty early on at the tailgate. We got there at like 9:30, and it's a good thing we got there at that time and not like the normal like asinine like 8:30 or 8 a.m. hour. We kind of limited our exposure, but I would say at the tailgate. Once we got in the stadium, the sun. We're in the north end zone, our seats, and the sun was beating down on us, so that really helped. How about you?
Yeah, like 10:45. Like right kind of in the middle of the tailgate, I started realizing I was getting really cold and I was about to beg you to go in your car and turn up the heat and you're like and to
Curl up,
respect like yeah, you were just so locked into the game of giving out Penrose beers.
Penrose. Hey, good
Hell's
segue.
Lager today. Yeah.
Chris, yeah, Chris, go ahead. Spotlight your beer.
The German style Helles Lager. This is the first time I've had it on the show. 5% lighter ordinance, Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. I can't do a hazy that late. I will get a headache. This is a really, really, really good German lager. And Nick, I believe you have the newest Penrose offering.
I have the brand new Penrose
Yeah.
offering, just released. Penrose and Tom were nice enough to give us a sneak peek. This is called the Stargazer. It's their dark lager. It's 5.5% ABV. And man, is it smooth? It's rich. It's got this beautiful, almost auburn dark color. And it is absolutely delicious. This is honestly one of my favorite Penrose beers that I've had, and I haven't had a single one that I don't like. They're all excellent. So thank you to Penrose. Everyone, check out Penrose, penrosebrewing.com. Go get them at Jewel, get them at Binny's. Go check them out in Geneva.
I'm a little annoyed that Nick has it right now and I don't. It's because I drank my allocation of it already. It's a super, super awesome beer, and I would do anything for one of those right now. Really good job on that, Penrose. But yeah,
Yep.
10:45. I'm starting to get really cold, and when you go to these really cold games, where you get yourself is the tailgate before. It's the stupidest thing you can do is to just freeze your ass off before you even get in the stadium. And it really wasn't the wind. It was just the extreme minus sub-zero temperatures. And there's really, you can do every hack there is, triple layers, multiple socks, right? Standing on cardboard. But in the end of the day, it's all about your fingers and your toes. If
Yep.
you can keep those warm, you're going to be fine. When we got in the stadium, 58,000 people, sun beating down, defense, offensive performance, that warms you up, not to mention the beer. But to kind of segue into the game, it was a really interesting experience because of how far we've come as like a team and as a fan base and as a community here just this year. Is we're going from a team over the past 5 years that is in the bottom of the barrel, not just of the NFL, but of like team sports, to this now like fully formed football team. where we are having the lowly Cleveland Browns come in for a ritual sacrifice. Right? I kept saying it to the people around us, man. It was very clear very early they did not want to be there. I was
Right.
telling the people around us I didn't want to be there, right? They really don't want to be there. Um, and you could tell it instantly. Like when they came out, they're all in sleeves. They're all in white. They're all in long sleeves. And the Bears offensive line comes out after.
No
Short.
sleeves.
Nope. That the game was over at that point.
Yep.
For that game to open up with the way it does with the Cleveland Browns in our end zone on the one with back-to-back penalties, it was over. It was not a competitive game. That is a pathetic American sports franchise, man, from top to
Yeah,
bottom. I was talking to some of the fans. I think we have it on our live stream, and
we do.
you just
Yep.
feel bad for them. They're so defeated. My friend Levi is a worldwide Browns backer. What's up, Levi? I'm sorry about what's
Sorry,
happened
Levi.
to you with this. Yeah, but they've got Ohio State. They'll be fine. Um, but it really is shocking to see in person.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up because for those of you that tuned in on the live stream that we did at the tailgate, like Chris said, we talked to a handful of great Cleveland Brown fans. I mean, great people. Shout out to I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but there was a great couple from Indiana
Yeah.
that drove up in the morning. Good people, and they just have an awful football franchise that they have to deal with. And while I'm on the subject of having great interactions, having great fans and great followers, I want to give a shout out to my kid's gym teacher. His name is Rick Bevel. Rick, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you subscribing. He sent me an email yesterday saying that my daughter, Mila, told him about the podcast during PE class and pitched it to him. He was excited. He tuned in and he enjoyed it. So shout out to Mr. Bevel. Thanks for tuning in.
This is a pro gym teacher podcast. I'd also like to give a shout out to
Yep.
Officer Marty at St. Pat's. He subscribed today. Keep it locking it down, Officer Marty. And then we also have to give a shout out, Nick, to the guy sitting next to us, Alex.
Yes.
He was so
Yes.
happy. He was
Yep.
giving out our cards to everybody, right? And
He
we
was
had a great
awesome.
time.
Yep.
So for the diehard therapy session patients we have in our fan base, we've been following the same rubric and structure for the show where we grade the position groups and talk to the units. But man, everybody gets an A this week. This is like when the
Yep.
substitute teacher shows up and everybody gets an A. 31-3. I don't think in person I've ever seen the Bears win by 4 touchdowns, like ever.
It was awesome.
And they made my Sunday. I've still really enjoyed it. And the one last thing to really kind of just take away from that game is the catch, the Caleb
Oh my
Williams
goodness.
recreation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the second Caleb Williams touchdown in the third quarter to DJ Moore in the back right corner of the end zone happened in front of me and Nick. I saw it in real time happen. It was the first play after a turnover, and I think I was like grabbing my beer, and I look up, and it just happens, and I was stunned, right? And
Yeah.
it's one of the most impressive sports plays I've like ever seen live. I
Yeah.
like it's like
Yeah.
up there with some some stuff I saw Derek do. Um, Man, I can't think of like an individual play I've seen that's just better than that. And then I thought it in the moment. I turned around and had to rewatch it on the scoreboard to like comprehend what Caleb had just done, and then thought about it all day. And then it really didn't hit it until I think you sent me the overlay of the famous Joe Montana throw, and that's what it was. Except
Yeah.
Nick, that throw was from 10 yards out. Caleb's was from 30.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
it's just an unbelievable play that I don't think anyone in the world can make right now. Maybe Josh Allen, I don't know. Um,
It was the most difficult
yeah,
by percentage of completion chances, the most difficult touchdown throw, or I think throw period, by a Chicago Bear quarterback in like 6 years. It had the degree of difficulty was just absolutely astronomical.
it's in real time, it looked almost like he was throwing it away and it was just a complete accident. But then when the All 22 comes out, you can see the window he's throwing into, that it just requires an absolute piss missile of a throw, and he made it.
Right.
Um, we talked about, and it's a theme I've talked about over the last couple of weeks, is Caleb Williams the cold weather quarterback,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
specific marrying of this talent to this franchise. Um, a lot of people point out the Chicago Bears 4,000 yard passer stat, right? How is it possible that this is a thing? It's the only franchise in the NFL without a 4,000 yard passer. And one of the reasons you would look to, other than just general incompetence at the position and the organization, is the stadium and the setting, and that really for a quarter of the season you're playing in these games at home in variable, significant weather situations that make it hard to
Right.
throw. Now, the flip side of that argument is Brett Favre, right? Aaron Rodgers.
But you have the wind. You have the extra wind
Yes,
factor in Chicago that
yeah.
you don't have as much in Lambeau.
There may not be a better marriage of arm talent and natural setting right now in the league, and it presents like a pretty significant possible advantage. Like if you get the Lions here
Oh yeah,
week
with Jared
18 or in
Goff.
the
Yeah,
playoffs at Jared Goff, who is
California boy.
an average to above average arm. He's got a whip. It's like a long release. Um, but in that kind of weather, you have to, if you have a Shador Sand, if you have a guy with an average arm in that weather, you have to change what you're doing. The Bears didn't at all. Caleb's
We
throwing it through the wind with literally no problem. And it's
and
a big deal here.
and we got to see you. You mentioned his name, Shadur. We got to see in person. Man, the arm strength. Yeah, the arm talent in terms of in that weather. He just didn't have the ability to zip it through that weather. He just didn't. Not like Caleb.
I've never seen a guy come in with less of a shot against this team in my life. It was strange. It was a weird thing to watch. It's how I imagine the Romans felt watching Christians get eaten by lions. Um, like, like you don't feel great about it, but you paid and you got it. It's entertaining. Um, it's overall, it's just a kind of a really cool thing of how far we've come. That that is a quadrant of NFL hell that the Bears have been in for not just the past 5 years, but for much of the last 15. And to be entirely out of it and in the midst of things in December and to regain sole possession of first place is an awesome thing. So, like, I really want to talk about here is now this upcoming Packer game,
Yeah.
which this is the biggest regular season game now in years. And when you get good like this, because my wife will always be like, you always say that, and it is. This is actually the biggest regular season game since 2 weeks ago,
They
and before that, it
progressively
was a
get
week
better.
before that.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
and
stair
bigger.
step. It's a stair step situation.
These next 3 weeks will be a defining tell of where they currently are, right? And it's Packers, Niners, Lions. These are all playoff teams, right? You got to win one of them, right?
Yep.
If you get two, if you get two, you're looking at a home wild. If you win one, most likely you're in as a wild card, probably on the road. You win two, you're probably hosting a wild card game. If you win all three of these, there's a chance you're the one seed, especially if you look at kind of the Rams schedule, and that is wild to think where we are. And you never want to rub in or wish injury on
No.
anybody.
Right.
But man, Micah Parsons radically changed the Packers' outlook and their team construction. Micah Parsons is the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. He's the most valuable non-quarterback in the league. He alone opened a championship window for the Packers that didn't exist before him and doesn't exist without him. Also, the Packers, and I think I said it the last 2 weeks, have mortgaged their entire future on this one player. The Packers
Right.
built a McMansion on a graveyard, right? This this is a worst case scenario for them as a franchise. They have no money and they have no draft picks. They traded all of that in for this player. He is a dominant, absolute wrecking ball, freak show of a pass rusher. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to deal two things. You got to be able to throw the ball and you have to be able to rush the passer. The Packers were able to do both, and for much of the season, they've been, I think, the best team in the league. Without Micah Parsons, they're really not that different from the team that you at the end of last year and lost in round one in pretty pathetic fashion to the Eagles.
Right.
But it's not just him. The Packers are also potentially down Zach Tom, their right tackle.
Right.
Despite the press that Penei Sewell and Darnell Wright goes, Zach Tom is arguably playing just as good, if not better than them. He is a really, really good right tackle. And then the other one, the really big one outside of Parsons is Christian Watson, number 9, the receiver. He's been out for like half the season in and out, and he's this 6'5", 230-pound, 4'3", 40 guy that his presence on the field opens up so much for Jordan Love. Without him, it radically changes their offense. So the two guys that killed you 2 weeks ago in that game are potentially, well, for sure, Parsons is out,
Right.
and now Watson is out. This is a radically different team coming in here. The Packers can go one of two ways with this. They can rally around LaFleur, Love, Jacobs, right? And they can come in and punch you in the mouth and assert their God-given right and dominance at the top of the division. Or they come into a hostile environment, reeling from a almost Derrick Rose like 2012 injury to the foundational player of their team, not to mention all the other injuries, and possibly that gets to them, right? This
Yeah.
is a team that lost to the Bears in week 18 last year and then went into Philly and died and rolled over, right? The other thing with this team, they haven't won the division. They've been a wild card the last couple of years. They have no more right to this division than we do. This is the first time that I feel good about this game. Oh man, I don't know.
And think
I
and think
couldn't even tell you.
and think about this. Not only did we win the last game of the year, obviously they weren't full strength. I get that. We still won the game in Lambeau. We beat them. Each of the last, I believe, 4 games, we have come within a razor's edge of beating them. It's actually come down to the final play in the last 3 games in a row. So you look at the one last year at Soldier Field, that was brutal. I was there. It was a blocked field goal. The Bears should have won.
Fuck yeah.
You look at the one they won at Lambeau. That was a Cairo Santos field goal to win it. And then you look at the one that they just barely lost, 2 weeks ago. That was that Caleb play, that boot rollout, which we highlighted on the pod last week, where he had the option and there were some issues with the route running. Again, you have 3 games in a row where you've played them down to the last play. So this series, while there's a long stretch of dominance by the Packers in the last 5-6 seasons, this series
Go
has been a lot
further than
closer.
that.
Yeah, let's just use just that snippet. But this series has been a lot closer than people think for the last 3 or 4 games.
The differentiator between them as franchises, really, for a long time, people will look at the quarterbacks, but what it is it's been the line play. The Bears' lines have not been competitive consistently in a long time, really since the early aughts. And now that has shifted, especially with the Parsons injury and the Tom injury. The Bears' offensive line is a considerably better unit than a Parsons-less Packers defensive line. Like,
The Avengers, the Avengers,
so you
Avengers
want to do
unite.
it? Do you want to do it? Go ahead,
You
do
do it.
it.
You do it.
So from memory, Hulk is Dahlman,
Yep.
Wolverine is Trapillo.
Yep.
Um,
Doctor
I think that's
Strange.
as far as I can get. Doctor Strange is Tooney. That's right.
Yep. Red
Caleb
Hulk.
Williams came up. Red.
Red Hulk is Jonah,
Who's
and
Darnell?
he's the guy with one arm.
Oh, Bucky. Bucky.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Bucky.
The Bears' offensive line every week is doing the same job, right? And something that's kind of cool about this team is I've always say that Bears games are such grab bags is because you never know what happened in these games, but it's because they were never able to be skilled enough in any of the lines to dictate their terms in either offense and defense, and now they are. The Bears, like as a facility for war, are able to dictate their terms to the enemy in a way they never could. Right? The Bears are coming into these contests with a incredible ground game, right? An incredible offensive line. If you put it as a facsimile to war, they have the third army with Patton, right? And that's a lot better than having a great Coast Guard. Um, they're able to find something what they can do, which is wide zone, stretch, cutbacks, things like that, and they're able to impose their will on defenses and mold the geometry to defenses to how they want to operate. They haven't been able to do that in a very long time. Um, the second half against the Packers, the Bears imposed their will physically and emotionally on that team, and something tells me that they will attempt to do that again in the first half. It's going to be, you're going to, I think, be able to tell almost like this Browns game pretty early on what's going on with this Green Bay team. Like, did you see Matt LaFleur today, his presser? It was
No,
really weird.
was it? Tell me
He
more.
was very terse. They didn't practice today, but they had to release a report if they hypothetically would. And they had like 11 guys that would have been DNPs. And that includes their top pass rusher, their top tackle, their top receiver. It included both of their backs. Um, Brandon or Jacobs possibly has a knee ankle injury. So
Yeah.
he may not go. And if he does, he's going to be limited. This is a wounded team that
Yep.
is not particularly deep, that does feature a quarterback playing very well, and that's going to kind of be going to have to be their thing. You will know very quickly what their deal is. This is the first time in a very long time that it's possible the Bears blow these dudes out. How cool would that be?
How awesome. Man, that would be incredible. Can you
Put them out of their
imagine?
misery.
Put them out of their misery. Can you imagine if it was a game like what we just witnessed at the Browns, against the Browns, where they just it's just utter dominance and utter destruction, 31 to
What I would
3.
tell you is that there was significant carryover from that Week 18 game into the Philly game from last year. Like I actually took great joy in watching Philly whoop their ass in the wild card round because it did feel like there was carryover. And we talked about the stat, right?
Yeah. Yep.
About what teams do after they play the Bears.
Yep.
They played them 2 weeks ago. Do you know who the only other team that's putting up a similar stat to that is? Who's everybody's losing after they play them? Denver.
I was just going to say that. Yep. Yep. And who did the Packers just lose to?
Another thing I'll tell you is that ACL injuries, especially non-contact, right, are not traumatic acute injuries. They are essentially injuries of wear and tear, right? And there was a lot of talk with Parsons after that Bear game, and really also the beginning of that so the Bears and the Broncos run the same offense. Okay, they're doing the same thing to Parsons, where they're constantly booting away from him and forcing him to run Ladry or whatever. It's possible that them going against that offense and him being worn out, right, ends up having that ACL go. Because when you have an elite pass rusher like that, you have two options with him. You run right at him, or you're constantly booting him or optioning him or reading him and running, forcing him to chase like backside.
Right.
But the Packers have been through hell emotionally and physically, and now they have a short week and a night game at home against a hot team. It's going to be really freaking interesting. Matchup wise, we did not, the first half of last week, you saw we could not block them straight up. And by them, I mean Micah Parsons. The Bears didn't have an answer for him, but literally no one in the world does. They eliminated straight dropbacks from the game because of that. Now you can do it. We may be down some pass catchers, But if you have Burden and Odunze sitting, then you just go in 12. You're just going to play Loveland and
Yeah,
Komet, and you have Zacchaeus and
exactly.
Moore. That's fine. Moore, I will say, which is something that's really interesting. I think you sent it. This is the first time he's ever won 10 games in his life.
Since high
I've
school.
been on teams that have won 10 games, yeah. Um, but also, I think you actually may see a resurgent DJ Moore over the last few games, and I'll tell you why. I don't think he's a good second option for a team. I don't think he's an effective number two receiver. It's just kind of the way he plays, where he's got to be force fed the ball. He's got to be number one. If you're gonna lose Burden, who's played excellent for a rookie, and Odunze, you actually may see Burden, or you may see Moore really, really, really step up and improve. And by the way, you do have a professional free agent receiver with pelts on the wall and Zacchaeus at number two. That's fine, right? You may see a little bit Jade Walker. They're just going to live in 12, and they did
Yeah.
it the whole game last week. And let's more power to it. I
Feed
think the
Loveland.
best player on offense. He's the best player on the offense, and right now he's up to the seventh best ranking tight end in the league with 64 eligible tight ends. He's the seventh. He's the highest rated PFF rookie there is.
He he's the highest rated pass catching rookie there is right now. Like you
He's the
just said.
highest rated rookie,
Yeah.
any
Yeah, and
position.
yeah, and so and then do you know who the top two rated rookie pass catchers are
Him and Burden.
across
Burden
him and
overall is the
Burden?
eighth, right?
Him and
Uh,
Burden.
the Odunze thing, you got to take a long look at that training staff where they're letting these guys go out and hurt themselves in pregame. I'm
Yep.
guessing that you will not see him again, at least in the regular season. It may make some sense to just hold off and try to get him back. But also, you can survive it. You have depth. Um, you have all these pass catchers, and also you've been going heavy. Like, you don't need three receivers. That's what was one of the things that drove me crazy in the draft. Was like, once you got Loveland, it was clear they were going to go double tight end. So why are you drafting more receivers? But you have depth. And then kind of the last thing I'll say about depth versus Parsons is this Bears team has a choice to make in the offseason, um, where they have the resources and the ability to go do a Packers like move for a pass rusher, whether it's Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, one of those two guys.
Yep.
They're still in a better choice that situation if they did that they would have still more left over than the Packers did. But they also have the option to just bring in two more full draft class, have more money, right? So it's something that we'll talk about for a long time and we'll look at, um, is that do you go and just bring in as many young, highly regarded players as you can, or do you take all these quarters and change them in for a dollar? And the kind of the last thing I'll say about this Packers Parsons situation, because it is a dramatic turn of events here. This is a
Yep.
Derrick Rose like situation for that franchise. Is that in the NFL, you try to plan this stuff 1, 2, 3 years out, right? This Bears team on paper and by cap sheet, by structure of the salaries and the draft picks, this isn't the team. It's next year, and the team that's really going to be the team on paper is 2 years from now, 27. Caleb's fourth year. He's still in his rookie contract. Nothing in
Yeah.
the NFL is given. You can't plan 3 years ahead. You can't plan two years ahead. 2 years ago, the Detroit Lions are up by 3 scores in the NFC title game against San Francisco. They blow that game. Dan Campbell near cries on the podium. They get beat in the first round last year, and they may not make the playoffs this year. Nothing is guaranteed. You have
Yep.
to take advantage of every one of these seasons. They are precious. The Bears have to try to go win the Super Bowl this year. Now is the time. The
Yep.
window is open. There was a ceiling on this opportunity this year, and it was Micah Parsons in the Green Bay Packers. That's gone. There is nobody in the league they can't beat once. If the run
Yep.
happens, this is where it will start, and this will show us really what they're made of. What do you think, Nick?
I think I agree. I think sometimes it's those completely unexpected runs. I think about just off the top of my head, I think about that Eagles team with Nick Foles. Just kind of a fairy tale out of nowhere run. All it takes is to get hot. And all it takes is a little momentum. And you have a team that's really coming together, and you have a team that does the right things well. Like you said, that offensive line. I mean, just going back to that offensive line, we're at the point where if you go on Twitter or Instagram, 70 to 80% of the offensive line highlights you're seeing are Chicago Bears offensive line highlights from these offensive line commentators. It's awesome.
But Nick, you must be aware that also our algorithms have are psychotic and have been linked by each other. We're being fed that by evil billionaires, right?
The world revolves around me, Chris. The world revolves around me. Okay.
Our wives' social media doesn't look like that. Ours does. So, we talk about magical runs or whatever. And it's one of the tragedies and the malpractices of last year. This Bears roster on paper may be the most talent on paper, and by that I mean pedigree and draft position and like free agency. The entire Bears 2 deep is littered with nothing but top 50 picks and paid free agents. Nobody else can say that. The Bears have backups that are top 50 picks, and what this is the end result of 2 back-to-back first overall picks, a successful tank jobs, and in one of the great trades in recent sports history. Is this isn't really a magical run. The Bears are loaded with first and second round picks all over the roster. So just as an example, in 2015, I always kind of think about this. So the first year after Trestman, do you know how many first-round picks the Bears had on that roster? So I think the first year after Trestman, the first John Fox year, how many first-round picks did the Bears have on that entire roster? If you can just think off the top of your head.
Let me guess. 1?
The answer is 2, Shea McClellan and Jay Cutler.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
In this team, you have Caleb Williams, who was 1-1. Okay.
Yep.
You have Darnell Wright. You have DJ Moore. You have Colston Loveland. So that's just 4 on the offense right there.
Odunze.
Odunze, 5. You have 5 on the offense. On the defense, you have Sweat. You have Edmonds. You have 8 or 9 first-round picks on this team, and all the other guys are second-round picks. Right.
Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet. Yeah.
The offensive line features a second-round pick, 3 highly priced free agents, and a top 10 pick. Next to him is a top 10 tight end. And the second tight end was the 50th pick in the draft. This is a loaded roster, and it was loaded last year. And that was one of the great kind of malpractices of it, is that you gave it to this doofus coaching staff that you didn't want to pay.
Yeah.
So it should be no surprise. What it just comes was, it was hard to tell, what was this team just full of underachieving guys, or was this just a toxic mix of management and labor? That's what it appears to be. But the future is unlimited, and that's what's so fun. I'm really I dread this game every year. I told you 2 weeks ago, I dread these games. I'm looking forward to it. Go ahead.
I'm looking forward to it, and this kind of ties that in with our last topic, which is this team is so young, this Bears team. They might not know better. They might just mess around and go win this game. They might mess around and go on a run in the playoffs. They might mess around and win the Super Bowl. They're young.
I think you're the first one to say it, or did I?
They're not. All
right, so let's check it. 10:36, Tuesday, December 16th. All right. This show started. Cheers, Nick.
Cheers.
This show started with me demanding they sell the team to like a private equity firm. And now we're 14 weeks in, and this is where we are. God bless you, George McCaskey.
Yep. Cheers to George. I never thought I'd say that, but hey, keep it rolling. But you know what I mean with they just might not know better. They're not burdened, no pun intended. They're not burdened with this, these chains in these
They're not
heavy
Bears
weights.
fans.
They're not Bears fans. They haven't been living through this.
No,
they're
22-year-old kids from
22-year-old
poor
kids
southern towns. Yeah,
who are just who are just being paid millions of dollars to ball out,
Yeah.
and that's what they're doing. So
that is an excellent point. This week, the Packer week or whatever, I'm usually terrified of it. I am really, really looking forward to this, and it's getting to the point where I'm really looking forward to all these games. Like, there was a really rough time over these past 3 years where I would like actively dread Bears games, and it's like I have this sicko thing where I know I have to watch it. Like, I'll give you a great example. It was last year. Thomas Brown was installed as the coach. It was that 49ers game in Candlestick or
Yep.
Levi's, whatever it is. And all week I dreaded the game. I didn't want to watch it. I think my wife was at my in-laws and my kids, so I was like by myself. And I watched that game in my living room out of like pure duty of it, just having the worst time, right? And where they are now is so awesome, and it's such a great thing. And it's like also if you kind of just think about like how terrible of a time Chicago sports has been, like since the pandemic. Like, I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on with the Bulls, but man, we needed this. Like, we needed it bad. And this is, I really think it opened against Philly, right? But there is now a window that exists that hasn't existed in 7 years. And based on the construction of this roster and the resources available to you over Caleb's rookie contract, of which you still have 3 more seasons, this represents a significant window. Not Jed Hoyer, Theo Epstein said it, I think in his introduction press conference with the Cubs in like 2014. But he talked about each season being precious, right? That every football season is precious. You don't know how long you're going to live. I'm 40 years old. Nick, you're way older than me. You're like 40. You turned 40 in September.
3 months.
I don't know how many we got left, right? We got lucky as we won one in our first year of literal existence.
Is
right?
that lucky or is that
It's
unlucky or a curse?
We won them as expansion fans, right? It's like winning one as an expansion team, but we haven't seen one in 40 years. We don't know how many years we have left, right? And it would drive me crazy when they would have these seasons where they just had no shot and were just wasting years of my life. 2021, 2017, years where they're just totally irrelevant like that. Every season is precious, and the goal is to take a period of time where you can get as many bites at the apple as you can. This is your first bite at the apple.
Yep.
They're young. They're talented as hell. They don't know any better.
Yep.
Go do it.
Yep. 100%.
Oh, Bears.
Da Bears.